A devastating fire in Ashanti and Kalindi Kunj, a New Delhi suburb, that gutted the homes of 226 Rohingya refugees from Myanmar, including 100 women and 50 children, has trained a spotlight on India's ad hoc policy on international migrants. Persecuted in their country of origin, the Rohingya, the largest stateless population in the world at 3 million, have found shelter across Asia, including in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Thailand and Malaysia. According to the International Organization for Migration (IOM), there are more than 700,000 Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh, who face the onset of the monsoon season in flimsy shelters. Demographers note that the Rohingyas' displacement, while on a particularly dramatic scale, is illustrative of a larger global trend. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees said the world is witnessing the highest level of displacement on record, with 22.5 million refugees, over half of them under 18, languishing in different parts of the world in search of a normal life. Nuruddin, 56, who lost his belongings and papers in the Kalindi Kunj fire, says he has been living like a vagabond since he fled Myanmar with his wife and 4 children in 2016. "We left Myanmar to go to Bangladesh, but we faced a lot of hardships there too. I couldn't get a job, there was no proper food or accommodation. We arrived in Delhi last year with a lot of hope, but so far things haven't been going too well here either," said the frail man. Following the fire, and public complaints about the government's neglect of Rohingya camps, the Supreme Court intervened. On April 9, the Apex Court asked the federal government to file a comprehensive status report in 4 weeks on the civic amenities at 2 Rohingya camps in Delhi and Haryana, following allegations that drinking water and toilets were missing from these settlements. Senior Supreme Court lawyer Prashant Bhushan, appearing for the Rohingya, told the court that the refugees were being subjected to discrimination with regard to basic amenities. However, this was refuted by Additional Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, who, appearing for the government, said there was no discrimination against the Rohingya. The court will again take up the matter on May 9. The Rohingya issue entered mainstream public discourse last August when the ruling Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party government asked the country's 29 states to identify illegal immigrants for deportation, including, the guidance said, Rohingya Muslims who had fled Myanmar. There are around 40,000 Rohingyas living illegally in the country, Junior Home Minister Kiran Rijiju told Parliament. The government has issued detailed instructions for deportation of illegal foreign nationals, including Rohingya. In its affidavit filed before the Supreme Court, the government claimed that Rohingya refugees posed a serious national security threat, and that their deportation was in the larger interest of the country. It also asked the court to decline its interference in the matter. The government's decision to deport the Rohingya attracted domestic as well as global opprobrium. It is both unprecedented and impractical. Meenakshi Ganguly, South Asia Director of Human Rights Watch, told Scroll.in, "It is unprecedented because India has never been unwelcoming of refugees, let alone conducting such mass deportation," she said, "and I would call it impractical because where would they, the Indian government, send these people? They have no passports and the Myanmar government is not going to accept them as citizens." Some critics said the Rohingya were being targeted by the Hindu BJP government because they were Muslims, an allegation the government has refuted. Parallels have also been drawn with refugees from Nepal, Bangladesh and Pakistan who have comfortably made India their home over the years. However, to keep a strict vigil against the Rohingyas' influx, the Indian government has stationed 6,000 soldiers on the Indian-Bangladeshi border. Activists say that despite thousands of refugees and asylum seekers, 204,600 in 2011 as per the federal government, living in India, refugees' rights are a gray area. An overarching feeling is that refugees pose a security threat and create demographic imbalances. A domestic legal framework to extend basic rights to refugees is also missing. Since the government's crackdown, Rohingya groups have been lobbying to thwart their deportation to their native land. In a public interest litigation in the Supreme Court of India titled Muhammad Salimullah v. Union of India, they have demanded that they be allowed to stay on in India. However, the government has contended that the plea of the petitioner is untenable, on grounds that India is not a signatory to the UN Convention of 1951. The convention relates to the status of refugees, and the Protocol of 1967, under the principle of non-refoulement. This principle states that refugees will not be deported to a country where they face threat of persecution. The matter is now in the Supreme Court, which is saddled with the task of balancing national security with the human rights of the refugees. However, as Shubha Goswami, a senior advocate with the High Court, said, while India may not have signed the Refugee Convention, it is still co-signatory to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which includes the principle of non-refoulement, and it is legally binding that India provide for the Rohingya. There's growing public opinion as well that the government should embrace and empower these hapless people, rather than resent their presence. India should accept the Rohingya as it has other migrants, said Dr. Ranjan Biswas, a former sociology professor at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. As a big regional player, the refugee crisis presents India with a unique opportunity to set an example and work out a long-term resolution to this humanitarian crisis, which will usher in peace and stability in the region. A P.S.